Okay, so we're going to jump now. We've now covered some SEO in terms of links. We've covered some testing, covered some social media. We're going to shift gears again and move into SEO. So, I mean, sorry, into PPC. So, in paid search, specifically, this is a part of Google, and now it's a part of Ad Center, which powers both Bing and Yahoo. You have this thing called the quality score. So we'll jump quickly through what quality score is, why it's important, and then what you can do to improve your quality score. So let's start. Let's go back a little bit in time and talk about what evolved into what is now known and is now this very powerful number that's called the quality score. So the quality score started from the way that Google AdWords figured out what rank you came in paid search in those PPC ads. So in the very beginning, back in 2003, 2004, they said, okay, well, instead of just being an auction with a maximum bid and we just give the first place to the highest bidder, we need a measure of how many people click on the ad. And really they did this to figure out how to make themselves the most money. If nobody clicks on the ad, then they're not making any money. So they wanted to reward ads that a lot of people clicked on by getting to show up higher. So it started out as this very simple equation that it's the maximum you're willing to bid, this is per keyword, times the click-through rate of that keyword. So that was their first pass at this. And as the time went by, when a couple of years went by, they said, okay, we need a little bit more than just those two metrics. And they said, okay, let's add in a little bit more than just the keywords click-through rate. Let's look at the accounts history, the keywords history. So we're going to look at click-through rate, but in a much more comprehensive manner. And that really evolved into starting looking at a myriad of other examples or facets that they wanted to reward or penalize, and that's where you end up today, which is your ad rank is and that's again, ad rank is the order, whether you're 1, 2, 3 down the top or right side of the page for your PPC ads. The ad rank is your maximum bid by that keyword times your quality score, and the quality score is now a function of many, many, many different factors, and we're going to walk through kind of the most important ones. So this is the view of inside an AdWords account. You can actually look at what the quality score is for each individual keyword. And you can see here that it gives you, it's a scale from 1 to 10. The higher the better. And basically, and we'll talk about what impact this has, but you can see here that the ads on Facebook has an 8 out of 10 quality score. An ad on Facebook has a 3 out of 10. These are similar, but you're going to see a big difference. And this helps you walk through some of the helps guide you through if it's landing page load time, quality, or keyword relevance, but it's not going to give you much more than that. And so we're going to take a slightly deeper look into how you can affect this. So in terms of how this works, we're going to continue our sandwich and burger motif here. But to understand sort of a visual representation, we have 3 keywords. We have meatball sandwich, we have hamburger, and we have PB&J. And you're going to see hamburgers willing to bid $1, PB&J $2, and the meatball sub $3. And the effective quality scores, we're just going to throw out there a 9, a 7, and a 2. And the purpose of this is to illustrate how big of an impact your quality score has on how you show up. And it can have even a bigger impact than what you're willing to pay and than what you actually will come out of pocket for. So you can see that basically 2 times 7 gives you a rank of 14, 1 times 9 is 9, 3 times 2 is 6. And then they're going to rank 14, 9, and 6. And so you're going to see that PB&J is going to show up first, and they, even though they set a max bid of $2, Burger is going to show up second, even though it's bidding the lowest. And even though Meatball Sub is bidding the most, it's going to show up third. Now, we obviously picked numbers to illustrate this point, but the takeaway should be that if you want to show up higher in more prominent positions in Google, you can pay for it, or you can improve your quality score. So these are ways to ultimately, if you can improve your quality score, you will show up higher and you will pay less. And that's a very big win-win when it comes to PPC. So let's look at, okay, we understand that it's important. What factors actually go into quality score? And the main factor is going to be your keyword click-through rate. That was the original factor in the very beginning back in the day. And that's still going to be the single largest component. So what this means is if your ad is very relevant and it matches the keyword, then that is going to be rewarded by a lot of people clicking on it, which in turn is going to give you a high quality score. It's also going to look at your ad click-through rate, and this is going to say, okay, so you do across lots of different keywords, does this ad perform well? And finally, it's going to look through your account click-through rate. So here you're saying, okay, let's look on the click-through rate of the very granular, which is the specific keyword. Let's look at how the ad performs across a number of keywords, and then let's just look at the whole account and say, is this a highly performing account in general? So, and then we're also going to look at, and this is an interesting one, the historical click-through rate of the display URL. So what this really means is you can start a whole new account if ultimately Google remembers that this website has performed well in the past. That also is going to be a factor in quality score. So what that really means, the takeaway from that, is older established sites, more entrenched sites that have more history across Google's entire system are going to perform better. And then it's going to look at quality of a landing page. Now, this is an interesting landing page. There's nothing visually wrong with this landing page. The problem is it's reminiscent of sorts of pages that Google doesn't really like. And the reason they don't like this is there's not a lot of depth to the site. So it's very much this is very much what you'd call a squeeze page. This is a one-page website. Ultimately, they just want your information, and then they're going to, use it however they're going to use it. It's not really an informative site. It really is a page to specifically get somebody to fill out a form. Now, this is not to say that there's anything wrong with these sorts of pages. What it is to say is that these types of pages don't really get rewarded by Google. So you just need to be very aware that if you have a page that resembles this, and again, this may be a very effective page, but they might, because it's such a slim site, because it's only one page, and because there's not a lot of other parts to the experience, this advertiser might be paying more than other advertisers to show up where they are in PPC. So how does Google actually decide that they don't like a page like this? Well, the interesting thing here is they actually use real people. So they actually ask people, do you trust this site? Is this would you buy from this site? What they do then is they sort of score these sites. And then in the end of the day, it's still an algorithmic solution. So they feed their system with a bunch of data that does come from real people. And then ultimately it sort of applies those traits across millions of sites, and that's where you get kind of it's if you get a low quality score, no individual at Google is picking on you. You just have the same traits. Google is sort of applying the same sorts of traits that they don't like on other sites, and they're finding those traits on your site. So again, you need to add depth to your site. You need to add let's see, unique content. You need to add just more pages to the site. So the more meat your site has, it's rewarded on SEO, and it's also rewarded on quality score on PPC. So we're really seeing a convergence of the types of factors that Google rewards on SEO is also rewarded on paid search. It's interesting because what it means is that you can really follow similar sorts of guidelines to be successful in both on one as well as the other. And you can see everything all the way down to having trust seals, to having a secure site, to having a privacy policy all go into this. The other thing you ultimately can do outside of the website itself is to really have tightly focused groups. So you can see you have one ad group dedicated just to the keyword custom greeting cards and a few related terms. It goes to an ad that's specific to it, and it's going to a page that's specifically for custom greeting cards. And the caveat to all of this about quality score is similar to the prior obsession or to some current obsession of PageRank and SEO. Don't worry about it too much. In the end of the day, it's all about your ROI. It's all about the results. So if you have a 3 quality score, but the keyword's performing really well, it doesn't mean that you need to go delete it from the account. I mean, you have something that's working. If you can improve it without sacrificing the results, then that's great. It will only enhance the ROI. But it's sort of a don't fret it too much. Really focus on the results. Okay, so moving to our